Oh my gosh. Actually, the quality on my laptop is looking really good. So guys, welcome to my live. I have my glasses on, so I'm going to be able to see what's going on in the comment section because a lot of times I cannot always see. But yeah, literally like came home. I have a notebook. Okay. This is going up on YouTube. It's going up on my Instagram page. So it'll be here for a little while. And then if you want to watch it again on YouTube, you can. So I'm going to be bouncing my vision from my phone to my laptop. But yeah, we're getting into Love is Blind. I had a couple of requests to actually go live because there's so much. There's so much to say. And I feel like this is a perfect platform to do that, especially since I didn't have um, what do you call it? I didn't have a very last upload for my Love You series. I do apologize if my connection on Instagram is kind of not that great because the Wi-Fi in my room is not fantastic. But we gonna make it through. We gonna thug it out. So let's get into this conversation because I feel like people are gonna stream in like later, and I feel like I only get an hour on live on Instagram, and I don't want this talk to be like centuries long. Yeah, I'm just gonna get started, and then you guys can join in on the conversations. Please, please, please comment because I want to know what you guys have to say about the show. And hey to all of the new people who are showing up on YouTube and on Insta. So let's get started. Yes, hey Unique. Okay, so the tea is hot. Okay, it's piping. Please grab your wine. Okay. We're about to sit and key, not only because of the show, but because I feel like shows like these, although a lot of people feel like they're reality shows, they're scripted, they're not real. I feel like there's a lot of things that we can take away from love and relationship shows that we see because it kind of drops that third wall. When you're in a relationship, it's hard to see some of the errors that you're making. But when you're on the outside and you can see how people are moving, it's really helpful, like, and cathartic. That's why I love shows like Married at First Sight and Love is Blind. This is going to be filled with spoilers. So if you have not watched, I advise you to go ahead and watch the season finale. Watch the entire season. It should not take you that long. You can binge watch it. The reunion will be happening this Friday, and depending on how this live goes, we can always catch up again. So yes, let's get into my notes. I took notes because it was too much. It was way too much. So first of all, if you have not watched Love is Blind, the premise of the show is I think it's 10 guys, 10 ladies go into what's called pods. They have a wall in between the lady's side and the guy's side. You cannot see the person that's on the other side of the wall. All you can do is make a connection based on conversations that you have. So you go from pod to pod, meeting different people over the course of, let's say, 10 days. At the end of that whole experience, and throughout, people start to propose. So we get proposals on day 3, day 4, at the very end, at day 10. And then once you've proposed to someone and you're locked in, then you can go ahead and get engaged and meet them in person. So you only get to see the person once you are engaged, or have proposed to them and asked them to be your wife. Or in some cases, I feel like I've seen a couple of women who've asked the gentleman to be their husband, to be her husband. Anyways, so that's the whole premise of the show. After that, they go on this like luxurious vacation, which is definitely designed to increase those, what would you call them? Love hormones, so that you feel like you're so romantically in love and all this, but really you're just on a fabulous vacation, and that's what's boosting you to feel like this is great. So that's all said and done. Then it goes back into real life. Everyone goes, lives in an apartment building, centralized. This season, they shot it out of Chicago, my city. One time for the one time. Um, and then you get to meet family, friends, et cetera, et cetera. And so it's really, really good. So let's talk about the first couple that ended up getting married, going to get, not getting married, but well, getting married. Yes, they got married. They got all the way to the altar. And that couple is Danielle and Nick. I listen to me, okay? Mm. This had to be the one couple that I did not think was gonna make it. Like, I don't know about you guys, but to Danielle, and I caution on the side of calling people crazy, but sis was crazy. Um, she had a lot going on. She had a lot of insecurities. She had a lot of like she just had a self-depreciating kind of outlook on life. Any little thing that her husband, now Nick, would say, it would somehow become an argument, which I couldn't really understand why. In the first couple of episodes that we were introduced to her, she never said one good thing about herself, aside from her losing weight. And that was something that she seemed proud of. She is the prime example of why it's so important to build your children up from the time that they're young. Because a personality like hers is constantly looking for affirmations, constantly looking for outside sources to affirm and make them feel good. And it was just so draining. And I have no idea why, at the end of it, Nick took himself up to say, yes, I will marry you to this woman. Because, first of all, she's very young, very immature. If someone says to me, yes, my friends are going to be coming over, sometimes you have wild nights, they get on the furniture. Are you crazy? Not on my good furniture. You're jumping up and down on chairs and tables to break it? No, I'm sorry. And the fact that she was offended, this man is sitting here in a corn dog or whatever corn outfit that you have him in, and you have a problem with him being kind of leery about your friends jumping on your furniture? Excuse me? Extremely confused. Very much confusion. Um, my thought is that the extreme amount of hyperhidrosis that this man was experiencing at the altar was his body's way of rejecting the entire situation. I don't know why he didn't press the brakes. I do not know. And maybe we'll never know. My hope for him is that he gets out of the sunken place and quickly, because Danielle is bad news bears. And I just feel like he's going to be doing a lot more parenting than he's going to be doing actually like living out a life with someone who's supposed to be his wife. Like even when you look in their apartments, they're so vastly different. And that's not to say someone who's very clean, organized, and neat can't, cohabitate and live well with someone who may not be, right? But she seems like the type of person that this is just how I am, take me as I am, and that it just is what it is. And if you even say the slightest thing that might go against that, you are in the doghouse. Like she has such like low self-esteem. I feel like, as a matter of fact, most of the women that were on this season had such a low self-image that it was really sad to see. But I feel like Danielle took the cake, and I guess we'll see what happens in the reunion, whether or not they are still together, because by this time they would have been married. What, when was this filmed? Last summer. So a couple of months now, almost a year going into the summer, I guess. Okay. So yes. So Unique said, all right, season one. One reason I can't watch sounds like a whole heap of secondhand embarrassment. Extreme secondhand embarrassment. When I was watching, I was just like, this is too much. I couldn't believe that he said yes. And okay, honest opinion, please let me know what you guys think. But I really feel like the reason he said yes to her was because if he said no, I feel like she would have hurt herself. Like, I'm not even trying to be like to make fun or poke fun at mental health, because it is a real thing. But she seems like the person that at this big life decision, if he had gotten to that end of that altar and looked her dead in her eye and said, I'm not getting married to you, I say no, Do you think that she would have been able? She wouldn't have been able. She would not have been able. And this would have been a whole other story. Like, I it's just a lot. Like that whole relationship dynamic is a lot. So let's move on to Shake and Dipsy. Okay. Um, the girls need to comment. The girls and the guys, please comment because I can't be the only one that was shook. Listen to me. I paused. I paused the show about 3 times when when they were at the altar and the guy who was I guess officiating the wedding was going on with the wedding. And yes, Shake is a mess. And this is the tea you're waiting for. It's very hot. um Going on with the wedding and stuff like that. And so now he turns, okay, to Dipti. Here I am thinking, because I feel like the picture that was painted for us as the viewers this entire season was that, she really liked him. She was really into him. She didn't really see too many flaws with him aside from when they were out of the pods. So, I didn't have my reservations. I thought that maybe he was just like kind of in the moment being a little bit of a douche. But I was like, okay, like he seems to really start to grow on you, and like he really liked her, like from like immediately when they got out of the pods. Then when this man started going to every other person and trash talking this girl, how do you say to another man, oh, she reminds me of my auntie? Huh? Like, and you were like, yes, Aisha, you did tell me. And I apologize. I sincerely apologize because I really thought that maybe, okay, it's just a one time thing. But the way for him to be such a professional and so immature at the same time is very confusing. Anyways, let me digress to give you guys a full picture for those of you who just want the tea. So now they're standing at the altar, and my girl Dipti turns to him and said, no, I won't be marrying you. I choose myself. You're not deserving of me. And this is not verbatim, but when I tell you my jaw was on the ground, I could not believe. And I know he was standing there looking like a clown because he thought that she was gonna say yes. Let me see. Priscilla, Dipti saying no was the best part. She chose herself because he didn't like her body and was not 100% choosing her. He definitely was not. He was not. That girl said absolutely not. She packed her things and she got on. And I said, yes, yes. I almost stood up. I said, what is happening? Now, the backstory to this, okay, what I've been hearing on the interwebs is that there was some production. Sometimes producers will meddle in situations. They will kind of drop a little bit of a hint or some information about what's going on in the backstory. I don't know if that's the case for Dipti because if you think about it, the entire season, she never indicated one time that she was remotely not interested in him. It always just seemed like he was telling other people that he was not attracted to her physically, sitting down and good for Shake's mom for really saying, you know what, you are not deserving of her. She deserves somebody who is going to be 100% about her. I so supported his mom because a lot of times moms with sons will key behind their son and make them feel as though what they're saying about a young lady is right, and it wasn't right. Like his mom standing up for Dipti and saying, you know what, I really side with her in this moment was the best part. Like I was clapping for that mom. And he is definitely a clown. Shake's mom, goat. And so is Dipti's mom. When she went after her daughter and like comforted her and was supportive of her decision to walk away from the whole relationship, I said, yes. That girl said, no. And that girl said, no, I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna shed a tear. Literally, that's what she said. She did not cry. I didn't see her cry not one time. She was not sad. She packed up her things and she got on. And I said, yes, I wish more of us ladies would realize our worth and do the same. But yeah, so that was the major shocker to me, at least. I was not expecting her to go up there and say no. She had no intention of marrying him and she was going to walk away from the whole situation. But, good for her. So I guess we'll see. We'll see in the reunion whether or not she actually did get tipped off by the producers. I'll be interested to know. Um, yes, that guy was really disrespectful. What was also interesting was the way that he was downplaying it afterwards. He's literally standing there like, okay, guys, let's party. Like, there's so much more reason to be positive about this. Like, start the music. Yes, let's go. Your fiance just left you at the altar, sir. Sweetie, what are you talking about right now? What are you celebrating? The fact that he's been deflective this entire season just shows you more of who his person is and what his character is. The fact that he really stood there and said, I was hoping that she would go first. And if she said yes, and I would have said yes, because really, I mean, I wasn't really feeling it that much, but I kind of felt like if she said yes, I'll be the good guy and say yes too. But I don't feel that bad that she said no. I'm really happy for her and blah blah blah. Are you serious right now? On national television, this is what you're saying? You realize that people actually watch the show, right? Like I could not believe the way the man was sitting there kikiing in these white people's face, and the white people were literally just looking at him and the whole situation like this is shambolic. I could not. Like if I was there, I would have to get up and leave because it was too much. It was way too much. Please continue to let me know your thoughts, your comments. And let's move on to the next interesting couple was Natalie and Shane. Now, Shane has been a character since day one. I feel like Natalie put on a facade that she really liked Shane when I feel as though she was expecting him to fit into this box, this archetype, this caricature that she could control. Now, mind you, I'm not letting Shane off the hook because I feel like he expressed a lot of instances of what do I want to say? He expressed a lot of instances of emotional instability. He could not regulate his emotions. And we saw that right from the beginning when they were in the pods. This man accidentally called Natalie, the girl that he was interested, another girl's name who had also been flirting with. Now, when she said, "Did you just call me the wrong name?" and like got a little bit, that was jarring. Like, I've been sitting here with you this entire time and you're going to call me a whole other woman's name. This man turned around and really got upset. Like, he gaslit the whole situation. Like, how are you getting upset when you got her name wrong? From there, she should have known. It's a no-go. But a lot of people, I think they come on the show not just to be on the show and, oh, well, this is, I like this show or whatever, or I'm really trying to find love. They just want to be on the show. So a lot of them, I feel like they stay in situations that they would not have otherwise stayed in just to get screen time so that they can get followers up on their Instagram and social media pages, so they can get promos and partnerships with different companies. Like, I just feel like it's all very much of a scam to some degree. But for her, I just feel like you knew from the pods that he had a temper. He got upset over absolutely nothing. You swept it under the rug. You didn't say to him in that moment, why I didn't appreciate you going off on me on something so small. Now, I feel like I was actually having this conversation with my mom yesterday. And you guys can answer too. Do you feel like there is a line of what you can and will accept prior to marrying someone, and what maybe is like a line that you're just like, no, if they speak to me like this, I'm calling off the whole wedding? Or do you feel like that's a little bit of a cop-out because there's always going to be ebbs and flows, arguments and stuff like that? Like, how do you define when you say enough is enough and I'm walking away from a relationship when you're about to get married? I'm not talking about just dating. Like, you're engaged to this person, you're about to get married. At what line has to be drawn or crossed for you to be like, nah, I'm not doing this? For Natalie, it seemed as though they had some big explosive argument. We don't know exactly what Shane said to her the night before the wedding, but it was enough for her to say, no, I'm not doing this. Mind you, in my heart, I feel like she already determined that she was not going to say yes. What's confusing to me, though, is why these people wait until they're at the altar to say no. Is this for TV? You really got dressed, put makeup on, put on a whole dress to say no at the end? make it make sense. Like, it's too much. The way that everything is kind of staged in a way, I don't like it. I feel as though, just be honest, you did not want to marry that man. Why go through the wedding? Why walk all the way down the aisle to say no in his face? Like, no, like, I just think that that's crazy. Let me know what you guys think. That's my thought, anyways. But like I said, I don't think Shane goes unscathed in this whole situation. I do think that he is a little off. I think he's emotionally unstable, emotionally very immature. Um, like I said, cannot regulate him feeling up or down or whatever the case is. I feel like he's very like a roller coaster, very much like a roller coaster. And it's a bit much. Like, I just feel like he was not ready to get married, although he really liked her. He really liked Natalie, but I don't think that he was in a space to get married. Let's move on to actually no. Did I really I feel like this next couple was a little bit dead for my liking. Mallory and El Salvador. The man's name is Salvador, I know, but it just sounds better when I say El Salvador. Um so Mallory and Salvador, um again, at this point, two couples have decided to say no, out of the five that made it to the finals. At this point, I'm just like, okay, if another couple says no, like, what is the show? What's the success rate of the show at this point? Because you have one couple that should never have said yes to begin with. So Mallory, I feel like, overcame a lot of her own emotions. I feel like she was very intrigued and interested in Sal when they were in the pods and she was getting to know him because he was different. She was interested in a specific type of guy that she always used to date. For some reason, I feel like she always dates black men. That's just a thought, or my own feelings about it. But she, I feel like, put her feelings for Jarrett aside and really allow herself to love and be connected to Sal, which I thought was endearing and sweet. But I feel as though it wasn't enough for Sal, and I feel as though sometimes men, they cannot look past things that women can. So for women, and this is again another question for you guys: do you feel as though it's true that if a man is not attracted to a woman, he will never be? It doesn't matter, like, if they get married and stuff like that. If he's even partially unattracted, there'll always be someone else that he finds more attractive. And conversely, do you feel like women are able to grow and establish a relationship with a man that they may not be attracted to, but can thug it out because women can look past their level of attraction to somebody? I personally think that women do tend to, like, even if they're not all the way attracted to a guy, they're more likely to give a guy a chance. Whereas guys, like, if they're not attracted to a woman, I just feel like they're not even going to give themselves an opportunity to get to know her if they don't find her attractive from the jump. Women we'll battle it a little bit, but when we feel like we're being treated well and there's qualities that are worth maybe fighting for a little bit, we can overlook that to the point where now we see that person as a whole and they do start to become attractive, not necessarily because the world finds them attractive, but because there's qualities in them that we really love. But that's just my thought. Let me know what you guys think. I think that for Sal, he will always have that underlying feeling that he was a second choice for her, especially when especially when she liked Jarrett from the jump. Men definitely need that attraction. I feel like women can overlook that. I feel like women, and I have too. And I say that because not one of the people that I've ever spoken to in the past look alike. None of them look like each other. They all are so different. I've talked to, like, bigger guys, I've talked to shorter guys, I've talked to skinny guys, I've talked to average size, like light, dark, medium, like, you name it. Any and everything. Like, I'm more attracted to, like, personality. So I think it's interesting that you say that Sal probably was not able to get over the fact that Mallory didn't really like him that much, like, wasn't initially physically attracted to him in the way that he felt made him safe. I feel like they may try to date outside of the show, um, but I don't think that it's gonna last, unfortunately. I just feel like they'll give it a fair chance, but I feel as though Mallory will always have in the back of her head that, okay, like he stood me up at the altar one time. And that's the thing that threw me. Like the fact that he went first and he said, no, I can't do this. I was like, what? I was really expecting her to maybe be the one that said, okay, I don't think I'm ready. But for him to say no, I thought that he was really all in. So I know that she was shocked. Um, what's weird is that he never really gave an explanation as to why he didn't want to go through with the whole wedding, which I thought was interesting. But I guess that's for them to figure out. Theirs was another interesting relationship. I think that again, she really grew to really love him in that short span of time, but I don't feel like it was enough for him. The last couple that so by this time now, I'm looking at the whole situation like yes, exactly. I definitely think that unique. So by this time now, I'm looking at all the couples. Only one couple has gotten married. My hope for Ayana and Jarrett at this point is probably like a 1 out of 10. And I'm like, I don't know that this is going to fare out well, but we'll see. So my thoughts on this couple is that she's very young and very immature. The reason I say that is because there were so many subtle small things that I feel like somebody who is a little bit older and more secure in themselves would overlook. The first thing that stood out to me, apart from the fact that she felt like she was a second choice for him, was when she asked him where he got like this piece of jewelry. I guess it was like a necklace that his ex-girlfriend had got him for his birthday. And he's like, yeah, it was for my birthday, it's for my ex. And she's like, wow, so that it really means something. Like, I don't, she was kind of making it seem as though she didn't feel comfortable with him keeping it. And I was like, really? Like, you're going to tell him to get rid of jewelry because it's from his ex? He's what, 31, 32? You thought he was dating nobody this entire time before you? Like you just thought that he just popped up ready for you, had no relationships prior to you, just kind of there existing. I feel like it's unrealistic to think like that, to have that frame of thought. Um, that you would be the only person that someone talked to and then have the expectation that like you have to get rid of everything that you owned that tied you to that person emotionally. What if he just really likes the jewelry, so you want him to dash it away because what? Like I was really confused. And for me that let me know that there was a maturity level that was lacking there. The next thing that she kept on bringing up, which women, I wish that we wouldn't. Here's the thing: men are simple. I don't feel like they require a lot, and they don't, for the most part, take deep stock in things like we do. Um, so yes, if you want to say it, Ayana was a second option because when Jarrett went to go express how he felt to Mallory, she pretty much said, "No, I want to be with Sal." So now he's left to contemplate. Jarrett's left to to mull over his feelings for Ayana. He decided, I really like her. Now, whether or not he said that because he wants to stay in the show, again, I don't know. This seems to be a reoccurring thing, but it's neither here nor there because they're married now. So, or maybe they are. Who knows? So, when she confronted him and just said, I feel uncomfortable because I feel like I'm a second option. Okay, you express that to him. Why is it that every time you get into an argument or he gets up to go out somewhere or something happens, you throw it in his face every single time? Yeah, because I was just a second option to you. I wasn't your first choice. I was a choice. If you feel that uncomfortable about it, walk away. Because if you've forgiven the person, there's no sense in you continuing to dangle that over their head as if there's anything that they can do to change about it. Like, I just feel like it's unfair and it's not fighting well with someone to continuously dangle something over their head that they can't change. He chose you. Period. The other girl is with somebody else. Like, whether you like it or not, this is a situation that you're in. Why do you keep on bringing up the fact that he chose you as a second option, right? Now, am I saying what Jarrett did was right? No. I feel like he did what was in his best interest for him. at the time. Do I feel like he probably had feelings for her? Yeah. Do I feel like they were as strong as for Mallory? No, I don't. Um, but do I feel like if do I feel like he could potentially really love Ayana and really connect with her? Yes, if she gives herself the opportunity and the chance to stop bringing up old stuff. And I feel like as women, like we do that a lot. Like anytime some one little thing happens, like you just want to bring up this or bring up that. And it's like, it's done. It's dead. It happened already. Move along. Like why? It's not helping you at this point. Um, so I wasn't really feeling their dynamic, but they were the only black couple. So of course I'm gonna try to root for them. They did end up getting married. I was like, oh my gosh, thank you. Because if it was one more couple that ended up in failure, I would have been like, okay, the show needs to not come on another season at this point because the failure rate is a lot higher than the success rate. But they made it. They had their nice little wedding or whatever the case is. And I said, okay, well, that's great. Do your thing. Now, how many of these couples do I feel like are still together? I feel like Sal and Mallory are probably dating. Um, what was your opinion before it started? Um, I feel like Sal and Mallory are dating. I feel like what's her name? Danielle and her husband are on and Nick are on the outs. I think it's rocky for them at this point. And I feel like Ayana is gonna continuously be trapped in this bubble of, well, you didn't pick me first. Sweetheart, he did not pick you first, but he's picking you right now. Um, yeah, no, the rate of success is low. But what's also interesting about the show is that there was a lot of good-looking people that I'm wondering why they never followed up with. Because is it because they just never made connections, or they were not marketable by TV standards? That was my major thing. Like, there was this really beautiful girl that they showed a clip of, and I was like, oh wow, she's so pretty. Never saw her once. I don't know why they keep on slighting black people in the show, but it's really getting on my nerves. Like I've probably seen, and I don't know if the intention here is that they're trying to pair more couples that are not from the same ethnic makeup. But it was really getting on my nerves that none of these fuller figured black women were making the cut. Like there's so many beautiful people that are coming on the show. You need to tell me you couldn't find one man that was interested in a full figured black woman. Not one in the whole of America. I just was very confused. So much confusion. Um, so that's kind of what my predictions are for the reunion, where everyone will be at. Now, for the pièce de résistance, the special mention to Shayna and Kyle. Now, if you remember, Shayna and Kyle were a special couple because Shayna, like I said in one of my stories, was a fraud. She led Kyle, the guy that she decided to go with, and I feel like she went with him because Shane had already picked Natalie. She was really feeling Shane. Shane decided to go with Natalie, and she was left out in the cold. So the only other option to remain on the show is to pick somebody else. She picks Kyle. Kyle, unfortunately, really liked her. And I say unfortunate because he was willing to even, after this woman left, like she left the pre-honeymoon vacation thing early, days early. This man didn't even get an opportunity to go flaunt his new fiance to anybody. She said, and got up on a plane and got out of there. And he was so naive that even when she left, he was still sitting there talking about oh, well, I think we're going to try to make it work when we get back to America. She left you, sweetheart. She's gone. She's not coming back. I'm not understanding why you're not following. She left you. She's gone. And he was so adamant that he wanted to follow up with her. And so he did. Like, I guess they met a couple of times. The major thing that she framed it as was that this relationship wasn't going to work because he was is an atheist. She's not even a Christian, so I don't even know why she was riding so hard. Like, Ma'am, do you even believe in Jesus? Like, I don't even like the way she was moving on national television, and you expect people to really think that you're a Christ follower, but you're moving like a snake. I could not. The way I wanted to punch that woman in the face. But in the end, I really do think that Natalie should have just let her have Shane, because clearly she really likes Shane. I feel like they're the same person, airheads, and I feel like it probably would have worked. Maybe now that Natalie is not with Shane, they'll reconnect somewhere in Chicago and, have their whole blonde hair, blue eye love story. What annoyed me about that whole storyline was the fact that she really made it seem as though um, the reason why she was saying no to Kyle was because he was an atheist. Now, he told you he was an atheist when you guys were in the pods and you could not see this man. But by that time, your first option had already chose somebody else. So you had no other choice but to settle. Now, if you're going to try to create the story as if like, oh, um, I really like this guy and I'm willing to look past that and maybe we can compromise. If you're really a Christian, you know already. There's no compromising. Can I be a friend to you? Can I walk alongside you? Can I hopefully introduce some truth? Can I hopefully introduce the gospel to you? Sure. Is Jesus the one that has to work on your heart? Because only he can do that? Absolutely. But I'm not going to very well as a Christian be like, yes, let me marry this atheist who does not believe in any of the same things that I believe in and then expect for it to work. You're not very smart. Like, the whole thing was very shambolic and I was annoyed. The fact that she said yes to this man giving his mother's ring, you let this man give you his mom's ring and you took it knowing that you did not want him is a waste. Like, the way that I cannot. The way that made me seethe on the inside. Then cut forward to when she was having a whole conversation on the beach with Shane and trying to express that, she really likes him still. And she had a sidebar conversation with his then fiance Natalie and said to her, oh, if things don't work out, I have someone for you. Why are you a snake right now? The man is engaged to somebody else. Let it go. Let it go. Like, he's not for you at this point. And you look thirsty. It was horrible. Like, the whole thing was just shambles. And I really hope that they come on the reunion because I want to see where they're at. Kyle was much too nice of a gentleman. Mind you, would I date him? Absolutely not. But he's not a Christian. So that's my reasoning for that. But was he nice? Sure. And if you are okay with that, then yes, say yes to him. But don't lead him on to believe that it's because he's not a Christian why you're wanting to break up. No, it was because she wanted Shane. Shane did not want her. And so the only plan of action that she had was to try to sabotage Shane's relationship whilst at the same time chopping off the man that she claimed to like with some false narrative of why she could no longer go through with the whole relationship. So all in all, the season had its ups and downs. It was I don't know, the season was not dry, but I feel like there was no connection that we really saw on screen that seemed genuine and natural and beautiful. I'm not saying that the show needed to reproduce the Cameron Lauren love storyline from season 1, but I just feel like none of the connections that we saw, none of the relationships, none of the weddings that we saw were built on anything that's stable that I can look at and be like, yeah, I definitely see those two being married like 10 years from now, 15 years from now, 20 years from now. Like, they all just seem very lukewarm. I don't know. You guys let me know what you think in the comments when you watch this back. And definitely let me know if you would like to key after the reunion that comes out on Friday. I think that, yes, you know what? People were saying that too. Lauren and Cam were definitely like a one in a million type of connection. And what I didn't know was that people were actually trying to twofold. One, people were trying to say that like she always liked white guys and like this was not new for her when that was not the case at all. You saw her struggling, like internally struggling. For a lot of black women, the thought is, I want to get married to a black man. That may not be it for everybody, but for a lot of black women, that's you go into a relationship thinking, I want to have a black husband with black children. That's just what I want. And I think that she really had to step outside of herself and her comfort zone and understand that what she thought in her mind was for her may not look exactly how she wanted, but everything that she needed on the inside of that person was going to be there. Not necessarily wanted, but needed, right? And so we have to be careful to make those distinctions. So I think it's really a shame that people were kind of um, making it seem as though she had dated white guys before, that this was not new, that she should just kind of, roll with it. And really shamed her for dating Cameron, like and getting married to Cameron. Like I think it's horrible that people were doing that. And you could see that she was going through a struggle with that whole situation. And then even the fact that her family, her dad was not really a huge fan to begin with. So, I think that the whole thing was just really kind of messed up, but really happy for her. I'm happy that she found love. I'm happy that she found someone who she really connects with. And that's the type of couple that you look at and you're like, yeah, I could see them staying married for X amount of years. Like you're definitely right, Unique. Like they're an anomaly couple on that show. And I don't feel like the second part of that was that I feel like the production is trying to recreate that connection. You cannot. It was organic. They met by way of their conversation through a wall. They didn't see each other and they connected. That was it. You cannot recreate a relationship dynamic like that. It just is what it is. And so that's just my thought on season 1 of Love is Blind. Season 2, a mess. A mess. If you are tuning in at the end of this, go back and watch everything and then comment, and then we'll chat in the comment section below. But season 2 is definitely a mess. Standout for me was definitely Dipti. If you have not watched, go watch it immediately. Dipti, I had to stand and give that girl a standing ovation, because the way that she looked in that man's face, she didn't even, the thing was, she said it so like plain. She was like, I choose myself and you are not deserving of me. And she smiled and gathered her dress and walked back down the aisle. And I said, okay, okay. Yes, that's what we like to see here. We like to see people valuing themselves. And I thought it was beautiful to watch. It was a beautiful thing to watch. Um, she did that. And I was happy for her. I said, yes, girl, go ahead, do your thing. Um, so yeah, really felt like this season was interesting, had a lot of ebbs and turns, especially the season finale. I felt like there was some dry points. If there's some stuff that I missed talking about that you guys want to discuss, I probably have like 15 minutes left on here before Instagram shuts me down, because they give you that 1 hour cap. But that's all my notes that I had. Oh my gosh, girl, when I tell you I had to sit and write stuff down, because honestly, truly, um, there was a lot that went into the season. Oh, there is one thing that I wanted to kind of offset. So for Jarrett and the only black couple, Jarrett and Ayana, um, which by the way, do we know if she's like black? She looks like I'm not sure. Not that it matters, but whatever. Um, I think that in that coupling, he had a very false idea of what marriage was going to look like, simply because they're very different. So she's very introverted. She is the type of person that will stay at home, be under the covers, watch a movie. She'll just be like perfectly fine. She doesn't need a lot. She doesn't need to go out, do the whole partying thing. Great. That's her personality. He's very opposite of that. He wants to go out, wants to have a good time with his friends. And the fact that she didn't express that to him was concerning, because I was like, okay, you're not telling him that you feel uncomfortable with the fact that he's going out all the time. You're just kind of letting him coast. And then now he has to come to you and try to figure out and piece together, like your jigsaw, what's going on and why you're sad. I think that, in all honesty, she should have been a little bit more honest, but that I think comes with that level of maturity that I was talking about, that I don't feel like she's all the way there. Like her maturity isn't fully developed, which is why she's not able to vocalize her discomforts. Do I feel like he is fully mature? No, because in his mind, he's thinking that, okay, I get married. My wife doesn't like when I go out all the time. I'll just not do that when I get married. Like, I know that, once I'm in, like, I'm locked in. It's not a light switch. You just don't become a new person because you sign some papers and put on a ring. Like, that's not how it works. And so I think that it's going to be important for him to understand that, like, there has to be balance. And she has to understand that too. Like, you can't expect him to always just be inside the house. He's a type of guy who seems to be very extroverted, likes to party, likes to hang out with his friends. Once he gets older, of course, like, people are going to change over the years, but you have to be willing to accept that person from day one. If you look at that person on day one, when you're about to get married to them, and say, there's nothing about this person that, even if nothing changes, I would still accept this person, then you're good to go. But if you're steady thinking, okay, this person has potential, and just if they change this and change that, then what if they don't? You know what I'm saying? And so I feel like um, has to have an understanding of what marriage is going to look like, what her needs are going to be. And then she also has to do the same for him. Like, she has to understand that you can't just expect him to just cut off his friends altogether. If anything, the balance there is, hey, I'll stay in with you tonight. Can you come out with me? Like, let's maybe on one night of the week or 2 nights of the week or whatever the case is, let's go out, let's have a good time. I want to introduce you to some of my friends. And she will see herself, like, grow outside of her comfort zone a little bit more if she does that. Um, but he has to be patient, and she has to be willing. And so that there you see the give and take of relationships. And I just hope that, like, there's the maturity level that grows on her end to be able to do that. Um, I think also that there's perhaps an opportunity to grow in maturity with Nick and Danielle. I feel like if she grows up, like, because literally she's a child. When you look in her apartment and you're seeing, like, air guitars, and you're talking about, like, costume parties and all the stuff, I'm looking at her like, how old are you, girl? Like, I'm not understanding. I'm not computing. And I just feel like there's a level of maturity. This is why I really like shows like Ready to Love, because the target audience for those shows tends to be Black singles who are ready to date, who are a little bit older. And I feel like being older, and especially being a man, women, we can stabilize a little bit earlier on in life. I feel like men oftentimes take a little bit more time, and sometimes they never do stabilize. But I just feel like when you get a group of people who is ready and willing to date, who is older and more established and understands, like, has emotional intelligence, knows how to regulate their emotions, can communicate effectively with people, the outcome of that is far greater. But you also have to have people who are coming on the show to be real and not just to get a bag, not just to get some promo, not to be able to model after the show is over. So, I mean, it's a catch 22 in a way, but it can work. You just have to have honest people who are coming on the show, and willing to understand that there's areas that they need to grow in. But overall, I really liked Ready to Love. I think that there's a lot of life lessons that everyone who, like, watches the show can take away. Not necessarily just relationships, but just how we see ourselves, and how we relate to people on, like, the most basic level, which is why I love love and relationship shows, because it shows us so much about, from like a third wall perspective, how we navigate the world, and the way that we can do that a little bit better. So yeah, I have about 10 minutes left. You guys have any questions for me? I'll just chill out here, read the comments, read the questions. Um, Let me know your thoughts on this review. Drinking my wine, having a good time. Let me know what your thoughts on this season of Ready to Love were. Um, and what you liked, what you hated, what couples, first of all, what couples do you think is gonna survive if you did watch the show? Um, Thank you so much, Unique. I appreciate that. I really do. You know what really helped me was writing out the stuff because there was a lot going on. I was forgetting names and everything in between. So really happy that I wrote stuff down. But yeah, let me know if you have watched the show. Do you have questions? Do you have comments? And then we can talk about it within the next like 10 minutes before I leave. But yeah, it's been a really good season. Let me not say really good. It was a good season. I feel like the season finale is what made it good. Because before that, I feel like it was lukewarm. The beginning was good. Then it just kind of dipped off. Then by the end, with all the couples that were breaking up, I'm telling you, my mouth was on the floor. First, the whole shake thing, I was shook. And then from there, it just kept on trailing off. And I was like, okay, is nobody gonna get married? Nobody else gonna get married? Like, I don't understand. But I mean, overall, it was good. Um, yes, okay. You know what? I have family members who are really don't like love and relationship shows. Um, and they just feel like it's a waste of time. It's all scripted. It's all stupid, which I can understand. Um, Yes, no, I definitely think that you should be hopeful. And if anything, when you watch these shows, yes, it's going to be filled with drama. They have to, or else it's not going to sell. Like that's production's job is to make it look marketable. But you can, if you can sift through and see, okay, this is how people are relating to each other. This is how you move in a relationship. You see so many times where women will literally throw themselves off of a ledge when a guy didn't even say anything. Like they didn't say anything remotely close to what you conjured up in your mind, but because your emotions are in it, now you're thinking, well, he just told me that he didn't love me when really all he said was, can you hand me that orange juice? And somehow in your mind, you computed that as something other. Like women, we're interesting. I will give us that. But for men also, I feel like there's um this expectation to be stoic and not relatable, this expectation to not cry or not wear your heart on your sleeve. And I feel like as a society, we instill that in young men and boys from early on. So I feel like it's a little preposterous to then expect them to turn around as adults and know how to love someone well. How? When this entire time you were telling them, don't cry, don't be sad, man up, be a boy, you're not a girl. Like you don't the space isn't provided for them in the way that it's provided for girls to be emotionally open, available and vulnerable. So that's why we see women like myself who are easily able to talk about emotions and feelings, whereas men are just sitting there stuck on red. Like I don't know how to do that. I've never been in touch with my emotions because most of the time they were not taught that it's okay to talk about, right? They were not spaces were not created that were safe for them to feel like they are able to talk about love and relationships. Um, since because cameras are on me, or would I keep my boundaries and communicate? You know what? That's a really good thought too. Because I feel like sometimes when cameras are on people, subconsciously we want to turn up. Like, you know, when you watch shows like Bad Girls Club and stuff like that, and these girls that you see them on a regular day, like they're not acting like this, but somehow the camera's on them and all of a sudden they're hanging off of chandeliers. TV has I feel like a way of making you act crazy and not be your normal self, but you really have to stick to who you know yourself to be, which is what makes good, genuine TV. Um, really doesn't get ratings. Right. I mean, it doesn't. Level headed doesn't get ratings unless it's supplemented with craziness, right? Because I feel like if we just watched Cam and Lauren the whole season and there was no one else, yeah, we would all be like, ah, love, like, I love this so much. But having the drama with Mark and Jessica and Barnett, um, and Jessica and Barnett and his wife that hated Jessica is what made the show, right? So, I mean, it's not that you have to go on the show and act a fool. maybe somebody else, hopefully on the same season, will go on there and act a fool just so that you can stay on the show, look cute while doing it, and then someone else is bringing the crazy. But yeah, shows that are everyone is like even kill and level headed and all that stuff, it's not gonna get ratings unless it's like a scripted TV show and people really like the characters. But it is what it is. I think that there's still a lot to be learned from the way that we relate to one another and how we love and how we understand human interaction from shows like this. Like, yeah, you have to sift through some of the noise and some of the clutter. Like last season, when my guy Carlton was telling Diamond that her wig was sliding back, when I tell you I went up that day, that man said, yeah, and your wig is sliding back too. But you were about to marry her. Her wig is sliding back, but you were about to marry her. You were very excited about sleeping with her, but her wig is sliding back. I like I like the way the show is set up. When I tell you I had to rewind that section at least 3 times because I couldn't. He gathered me when he said she was walking away thinking, giving like her little snapbacks and everything. And this man said, your wig is sliding back. And I said, boop, not your wig. No, no, because you're not about to come on a national television and embarrass. Yes, it was very mixed. Like, I don't know why he had to say that. You did not have to say that because you were about to marry her. And that's the thing that gets me. Like, it's very jarring when you see people who are trying to throw somebody under the bus when whole time you liked her. What makes me upset is I feel like men do this a lot more than women. Like you see it in like everyday interactions when it's like a guy's trying to talk to you, you're not interested, then all of a sudden you're ugly because I didn't want to talk to you or because I'm actually ugly. Because 2 minutes ago, that's not what you were saying. So let's pick a side here. Men are interesting, women are interesting. Exactly. This man really tried to grovel after the show. I said, that man needs to go have a seat. And what was sad is that she actually looked good. Like she seemed like a sweet girl just looking for a good, stable relationship. I feel like sometimes women who go on the show, you get a good mix. If it's a good production team, you'll get a good mix. Some women who act a little bit too thirsty and a little bit too desperate, and they're the ones that will get the show ratings. And then other women who are level-headed, who know the thing that they're looking for, know what qualities they're looking for, know how to effectively communicate their emotions, want to show up, and it goes well for them. Hopefully, if they find and they pair with somebody who's ready to love in the same way. But for the most part, it's just messy. Like season 1, there was a lot of mess in that whole show. Like the whole um, Jessica Barnett and Mark situation was so reminiscent of the Kyle, Shayna, and Shane situation. The only difference was that Shayna was upfront about being trash. That's the only thing. Jessica tried to behave as though she was unaware of the fact that she was being trash. No, ma'am. You can clearly see that he's engaged. I don't know why you're still pursuing him. There are cameras. People can see you. Wow, I'm sweating. Don't mind me. There are cameras. People can see you. What is going on? And so I was just like, you really have no self-respect if you're throwing yourself at a man who's clearly married. What's happening? What are you doing, sis? And the same goes for Shayna. Like, why were you still pursuing that man when clearly he wanted Natalie? He wanted Natalie. So explain to me. Explain to me because you were not in the running. You never were. Wow, a lot more people are joining now. Thank you for joining. I only have a minute left out of my 1 hour. But if you have not watched the whole beginning part where I dissected everything, please go ahead and watch it. Drop me your comments and subscribe to my YouTube channel because it's going to be up there too. I may not keep it on Instagram, but I definitely will keep it on YouTube. So go ahead and follow your girl on my YouTube channel, Mo Life. It may be a little bit hard to find, so just try to click on the link that's in my bio that will take you directly to my YouTube channel. That's a shameless plug. So yeah, I really enjoyed talking to you guys about Ready to Love. I think I'll probably do another live on Saturday, sometime over the weekend for the reunion, just so that we can see where everyone is at. But until then, guys, again, thank you so much for joining me. I have about 5 seconds left before this cuts off. I really appreciate all the love and you joining in and watching. I'll see you guys. Share. I look so big. Done. So guys, I'm gonna end this live here on YouTube too. Don't mind me talking in the background with my chunky face. I'll see you guys in the next one.